Hello Wonderland, Kelly here. I've come today to the Washington DC area. Got a concert up here this evening, so I like to make the trip more worthwhile, of course, and I'm going to spend a few hours here at the Udvar-Hazy Center, which is kind of an annex or second location for the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. Lots of good planes and stuff in here. Yeah, it's going to be fun. But I've been here before, so when that happens, when I go a repeat visit somewhere, I don't want to repeat myself. So, like I did at the Universal theme parks on my last visit there, I've come today with some different gear than I usually would use here. So I want to show you what I'm working with before I go into the museum. So right now, the only RF mount body that I have is the R7. I did sell my R5. As I've pre-ordered the R5 Mark II, but that doesn't come for a few weeks. So I'm down to the R7, so crop sensor is not what I would necessarily pick for this museum. For planes and stuff, you usually want the wide angle, so that's where a full frame sensor comes in handy. But I do have mounted on here the Canon RF 10 to 20 millimeter. So on this camera, on this body, with the crop factor, it'll be effective 16 millimeter focal length, and that's pretty wide. And then I can also stitch panoramas if I want to go wider than that. So that'll be interesting. I've also got, because I kind of want to focus on some details, right? Find some interesting details to shoot. And for that, I'm going with my old vintage Tamron 90 millimeter macro lens in the Adaptol 2 mount adapted to RF. So that's fully manual. Also, I've got my TTartisan 50 millimeter f/0.95. I had some good luck with this at Universal, and I'm thinking also the shallow depth of field at the wider apertures on that one will be interesting. And then here's one that I haven't talked about yet because I haven't been filming a lot lately because it's been too hot. But yeah, this is the Canon RF 100 to 400 millimeter, which I picked up. It's a lot smaller and lighter than my 100 to 500, which I still have and love, of course. So when I want to go hiking or somewhere like this, and I want a long lens to maybe zoom in on some details, hoping that'll work out, better lens to take on that kind of excursion. So that's what I'm working with. Let's get in here, see what we can come up with. Yeah. Have I ever mentioned that I'm a geek who likes planes? Because I am, and I do, and there's lots of good ones here. So there's an IMAX theater at this museum, the largest in Northern Virginia, as a matter of fact. So I'm catching a show in about an hour. So I'm making a relatively quick pass right now with the 10 to 20, getting some wide angles, seeing what I can come up with that combo. And then after the movie, I'm going to roam, take my time a little more, and get some of those detail shots. I'm kind of making mental notes of what I want to come back and shoot with the longer lenses. So yeah, this is fun. This is the restoration hangar here, which is pretty awesome to me. That fighter plane there is an IL-2 Sturmovik, a Russian World War II fighter plane, mostly original. Behind it is the B-26 Marauder flak-bait, which flew the most combat missions in World War II of any Allied bomber. Very cool. Back behind there, and I'll make my way around, there's, I think, a Helldiver from World War II and a neat experimental lifting body aircraft. Yeah, that's really neat. And over here, they've got a little old wooden aircraft being refurbished. Quite a place here. I was just getting the rundown from a volunteer about the Sturmovik, as well as a Bf-109 Messerschmitt German fighter that they're working on. Pretty neat stories. The Sturmovik was an original 1943 plane shot down in 1944 around Leningrad and essentially buried in a lake where it was shot down for many years. Found, recovered, restored, and they're re-restoring it because the original restoration wasn't a great job apparently. And then the Messerschmitt, yeah, that was actually a French pilot wanted to get out of occupied France, so he joined the Luftwaffe and joined a Messerschmitt squadron. And his first mission, he defected and flew it to an Allied base out of northern Italy. Pretty neat. Gotta love a historical aircraft with a story. They got a lot of those here. Yeah, so I'm heading to the IMAX, but after that we'll roam some more and I'll start getting those detail shots. It's just a fun time. This museum is right next to Dulles International Airport, which is one of the major DC area airports. So you flip back around, you can see the control tower over there in the distance. I'm in the observation tower here at the museum, which I've never been up here before. Pretty close to the runways, so you can see aircraft taking off. There. Let's see if I can spot one. Here they have a Concorde, which is pretty amazing. I definitely want to get some detailed shots of that.
They're working today and trying to figure out whether they can design a fuselage that would reduce the size.
Top view of the Concorde from up here. Super cool. So much to see. I thought I might be here for too long, but I've got a few hours left and I don't know if that'll be enough. Okay, so I'm still shooting with the wide angle, but I'm gonna start switching to my other lenses that I've brought and see what I can come up with those. Let's do that. other star of the show here on the other side of that torpedo bomber is the Enola Gay, which is the B-29 that dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Yes. Working a bit with the other lenses I brought, the 50 and the 90 manual and the 100 to 400. Kind of having fun with the 100 to 400, which is what I expected actually, because usually when I'm here I'm trying to get total airplanes, you know, in the frame, and that's why I really lean towards the wide angles. But there's details, there's textures, there's things that you don't really see in the wide sweep of an aircraft. If I can actually get a glimpse into the canopy, you know, the cockpit controls, the nuts and bolts, literally, of the engines and landing gear and stuff, there's neat patterns, neat textures, just different stuff in that. So that's what I'm trying to do with the 100 400 from a distance, and really the 90 and the 50 closer up. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Let's take a look. Down here, we have an F-14 Tomcat. Top Gun fans will know that one. My favorite as a teenager, of course. I think that looks a lot like part of a B-17 wing to me. I'll get down there and check that out. Here we've got a Coast Guard helicopter. I actually used to want to fly helicopters. That's a Sea Dolphin, or no, Sea Guard HH-52. A Blue Angels F-18 down there. Got those in the air, and I'll do it again next month. Yeah, oh, shoo shoo baby. Okay, so that's the B-17 fuselage, if I can pan correctly, behind the Blue Angels F-18. So that's a World War II vintage. Love B-17s, and I'm thinking that's the wing from it over by the Tomcat there. So yeah, I'll check that out. You got an EA, is that an Intruder? That's a Prowler, EA-6B. You got an F-35 right here. That's new. That's interesting that that would be in here. There's an A7. Corsair 2. F-4 Phantom. My father, during Vietnam, served on, was in the Navy, served on aircraft carriers. So the carrier aircraft of that vintage are very familiar to me. So the A7 there, the F-4, the E6, A6. Something behind the Hornet over there, to see what that is. I don't see a Vigilante. That's the A5. That's what my father actually worked on. Pretty rare to see those. So yeah, okay, back to it. I don't recall having seen this one before. This is a Sikorsky JRS-1 seaplane, and this particular aircraft is a survivor of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Pretty rough condition, but apparently it was stored outside for a number of years. Still, impressive. One correction. Well, a few. I've been misnaming some aircraft. I'll correct that in subtitles. I'm rusty. Sorry. But yeah, I've been calling this place the Udvar-Hazy Center. It's Udvar-Hazy. Make a note of it. Okay, I am back at the restoration hangar. I was just getting some detail shots here with the longer lenses. Mostly the 100 to 400, which has been serving me well here, I think. It's not a fast lens, so obviously I'm using smaller apertures and having to drag my shutter or crank the ISO. Mostly I've been dragging the shutter, so I hope sharpness-wise that's not causing trouble. Yeah. So now, it's a little after 4 o'clock. This place closes at 5:30, but I'm actually getting hungry. I had kind of a light lunch, an early lunch. So I'm gonna grab something. There's a Shake Shack here. I'll take a burger, sure. Yeah, and then I'll roam around here a little more, and then I'm off to another stop. Don't know if I'll film there. I'll see how hot it is, how miserable I am, more to the point. Yeah, so that's the plan. Stay tuned. Yeah, so it's super hot. I think it's like 95 degrees. It's clouding over. Might rain. That'd be nice. But I don't think I'm gonna want to do anything outside at this point. And that was kind of what I had in mind for my next stop. So I think I'm gonna go to a plan B once I figure out what that is. But I don't think I'll film there, whatever it is. So I'm gonna say goodbye here. Hopefully this has been fun and educational. I certainly enjoyed it. One thing I will note though, I found a few circumstances. You'll notice the lenses I brought, I had my 10-20 at the wide end, and then the next lens up was 50 millimeters on a prime, which is 80 on a crop sensor body. So kind of had a gap in there between 20 and 50. So I found a few circumstances where I could have really enjoyed like a 24 or a 35 in the bag, or a 28. Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind when you limit yourself. You got to limit yourself. Okay. Yeah, enough for now. So, till next time, be good to yourself. Take care of each other. Don't forget to be awesome. Get out and wander. Later.